Okay, it's almost 12:01. So welcome everyone. Happy Monday. It's Mindfulness Monday. So I wanted to set us up for a pretty classic mindfulness practice today. And yeah, quick reminder, what is this mindfulness, the state of mindfulness that we're talking about? Um, and a really simple, I think pretty universal definition here is when we pay attention on purpose to whatever is happening in the present moment without judgment. And this last part is always in my experience, the trickiest one. So judgments can be, sure, it can be sort of moralistic, right, wrong, good, bad type thinking, but it's even simpler than that. I think it's just, judgments where we have any kind of preconceived notions. I think the Buddhists would say that either feel pleasant or unpleasant, whatever produces that kind of pleasant or unpleasant feeling is usually a thought or a belief structure. And what we're trying to do here in this practice is just temporarily suspend buying into that notion of liking something or not liking something, and instead we focus on the now. So not ruminate on the past, not time travel into the future. Focus on the now, and practice this thing. This is a direct translation from Pali, which is bear attention. And I like this what the bear part here evokes. It's simple. It's direct contact with experience. It's sort of stripped of um, other judgments and ideas. Again, of is this good for me or is it bad for me? It's just, oh, here it is. I'm noticing sounds, or I'm noticing memories or thoughts, whatever it might be. And then a quick reminder here about the neuroscience, right? So when we do this, I want to move us out of just, oh, this magical thing happens in our nervous system or in our mind, but there's some really foundational neuroscience here that we know what we're doing in the brain is we're basically working this circuit of different um, uh, parts of the brain that are communicating. So when we choose to focus or concentrate on something, be it breath, be it, any other kinds of sensations, we're activating a very specific part of our prefrontal cortex. It's this dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. So it's to the side, and there's a lot of blood flow, a lot of glucose-rich oxygenated blood that flows to feed these neurons so they can, send their neurotransmitters and perform that activity. And then there we are, activating this part of our brain, focusing. And about 6 seconds later, oh, here comes a thought about lunch, or gosh, I really wonder what my mom meant with that comment that she made earlier. And, off we go, right? So this is the classic distraction or mind wandering. And the emphasis shifts from the prefrontal cortex to this default mode network. And you can see it's a much more distributed activity, and it's punctuated by this, especially this time travel and this self-referential time travel. It's me in the center of whatever's happening in my memories or in my thoughts. And it's me at the center and then interacting with everyone else. And this is oftentimes sort of the hallmark of our suffering. When we have these ruminating thoughts or anxiety or even depression, it's very much this is sort of the footprint of what that looks like. So then at some point we notice this distraction. So this other part, the insula, which is responsible for a process called interoception. So, if proprioception is sort of, our sense of our body in space and time, interoception has to do with the internal feeling that we experience within our body. And we notice this at some point. We notice that, wow, I'm no longer present. I just slipped into this mind wandering state. And so when we notice that inflection point, we activate the insula, now really gets activated, and allows us to make the choice, the conscious choice to say, I just noticed that distraction. I want to go back to activating my dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, and so that the loop begins anew. So in essence, what we're doing here is we're doing this. This is like a workout. It's like we're going to the brain gym to really deliberately activate this ability to focus on something Inevitably, we're going to get distracted. It's just the way the brain works. But then we practice noticing. And when we notice, we try to gently bring our attention back to the present moment. And there's an interesting inflection point there too, is noticing how you hold the noticing that you were distracted. So many of us, I think, become, again, judgmental or self-critical. It's like, oh, I suck at this meditation thing and I never get it right, or it's just so frustrating. And if only, right. And this is, again, this is part of the non-judgmental part of this training, is to be able to simply notice it and say, oh, my brain was distracted, but I noticed it and I'm bringing myself back to the present moment. Um, Yeah. And so we stimulate this cool process. This is, I mean, at the heart of self-directed neuroplasticity. You can use your mind to change your brain, to change your mind for the better. So we create this virtuous cycle. So, okay, enough said. Let's grow our brain tree. Let's practice. And as always, let's start by closing our eyes. As per usual, my legs are crossed, so I'm uncrossing them. I don't even notice that I do that until we start doing this practice. I'm putting both of my feet flat on the ground and just very intentionally slowing things down and setting the intention to practice bare attention, or to experience bare awareness. So noticing the really simple, direct sensation and experience of feet in contact with the ground, letting go of any notions of, oh, I always cross my legs and I shouldn't do that, or whatever other stuff might come up for me. Is just, okay, right here, right now, bare attention on feet flat on the ground. You can wiggle your toes, so the pinky toe to the big toe, just kind of do a little tapping on the ground, and even just notice the sensation of that. And then shifting our awareness to our belly. And you can wiggle your spine, noticing I'm a little hunched over, so I'm just going to straighten up, and noticing, trying to soften my belly a little bit. And at the same time, keeping some tension in my abdomen to keep myself upright. And then noticing breath in the belly. Really intentionally breathing in and out of the belly. And I'm intentionally leaving a longer gap here of silence. And I suspect that I just noticed it happen to myself several times in that period. My mind wandering. So I suspect the same is happening for you. And just take note, again, bear attention. There's no good, bad. There's no need to judge whether wherever the mind wandered is a good thing or not. Right now, we're simply noticing, oh, the mind wandered. Okay. In that moment, activating that prefrontal cortex again and saying, okay, my intention is to focus on the belly. And when you notice the mind wandering, you can have a mini celebration of just noticing, then gently bring the attention back. Just to make this point of it doesn't really matter what we're focusing on. Let's shift the locus of our attention from our belly to our hands, the palms of our hands. Again, bare attention, just noticing the raw sensations, the palms of your hands. And maybe when the mind wanders, it's really obvious for you and you notice it immediately. Usually, we notice it a few seconds after it's happened. So it's just automatic. Mind starts spinning into the past or the future. And then there's a moment a few seconds later where it's like, oh, I'm not focusing on my hands anymore. And just bring your attention back to your hands. And again, you notice your mind wandering. Simply set the intention to gently, kindly, compassionately bring your attention back to the palms of your hands. Now take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale all the way slowly through the mouth. And hold the exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And deep inhale through the nose. Exhale. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And open your eyes. Come on back to the room. It's 12:15. Hope that was a sort of a useful way to, imagine what your brain and nervous system is actually doing while we're practicing that. And just keep in mind, this happens literally thousands of times a day. So there's like an endless opportunity for us to practice. And I hope you take this through the rest of your day. So see you all tomorrow. Thank you.